What's up, you guys? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to y'all, man. I pray that that your weekend has been productive, that you guys have been able to rest, relax, and kind of recover from whatever your week was like on last week. I wanted to just drop this quick word. As you guys can see, I'm actually trying to get me a walk in before it begins to rain again, which I'm not even complaining about. The rain has been a good little surprise, a good little mixture from the heat that we've been having. Our declaration, I know I'm breathing heavy, y'all. I am walking. But our declaration on today is God's way is always the best. I'm going to say it again. The declaration is God's way is always the best. I'm going to say that one more time. His way is always the best. Even in moments where you feel like God may be wrong, He is never wrong. His way, doing things His way, excuse me, always puts us in a position to win. It sets us up to win, right? I had a moment today where today was one of those days where the young lady had to come and fix my hair. But after that, it was a day where I worked and I rested. And so when I got up from my nap, because I didn't know how tired I really was. But when I got up from my nap, the Lord told me to go back to working on my site. I don't know if you guys remember the word from yesterday, how, for many people, we're in that phase where we're preparing for what's for blessings to y'all. We're in that phase where we're preparing for what God is doing in this right now season. So as I'm working on the website, God flashes before my eyes what happened maybe 5 months ago. Hey, blessings to y'all. So 5 months ago, let me back. 2012, I built my site with GoDaddy, right? Those of you guys that know anything about website building, especially back in the day, it's something that was hard. It takes a lot of work. Well, it did, right? And so since 2012, I've had the same person hosting my website. But what I noticed, when I started to move, now this is where the revelation comes in at. What I noticed when I moved here was that certain things, I started to have certain issues with the site that I had never had before, right? I'm going to say that again. I started to have certain issues with the site. Hey, y'all, that I ain't never had before. And that's one thing that I always tell people. You can tell when a person's season or something's season is getting ready to end. You can tell when things are about to shift in your life because you start having problems that you usually wouldn't have. Somebody didn't catch on to that. I just dropped the whole gem. I'm going to say it again. You can always tell when a shift is coming to an area of your life. You can tell when someone's season is up or something's season is coming to an end because you start running into issues, right, that you usually would not have. So I had GoDaddy, or WordPress was who it was built through. GoDaddy just gave me the website name. I'd had this same site since 2012. And so 5 months ago, well, not 5 months ago, maybe about, how long have I been here? April, May, June, July, August. 3 months ago, because this was before Bella passed away. I started to have issues with my site. And it was getting harder and harder for me to like fix the site the way that I wanted it to be. All right. So in that moment, I knew that a shift was coming, but I shifted prematurely. I promise y'all I'm going somewhere. You ever like, knew what God was going to do, and you tried to do it too early, but because it wasn't time, either you get frustrated, either you just say, I'm just done with it, and you just put it down. I think we all have been there. So I tried to shift the site then. I got frustrated, y'all, and I just stopped. I just let it be what it was going to be, right? So today, recently, God brought it back up, that it was time to shift to a better, platform. It was time to shift my website from WordPress over to Shopify. I'm going somewhere, y'all. So in the midst of me doing that, I began to notice several things about Shopify. What I noticed, number one, is the areas where I was having issues, like with the other site, they were something that easily flowed in Shopify. All right, I'm gonna say that again. What I noticed is that the things that were giving me issues in the old site, it was not an issue in the new site. Now, if you remember what I just said earlier, when a shift is coming to your life, when something or someone's season is up in your life, you start running into issues that you wouldn't normally have. However, when you begin to shift, right, with God in his timing, right, what you will notice is that the things that were hard to deal with in the old become something that is easy flowing, easy going within the confines of the new thing, right? Meaning the issues that you were having, they are no longer issues. And so that was the first thing that I noticed, because I was having issues with adding a booking calendar to the old site. I was having certain issues that I really needed to handle, right? And so that was the first thing I noticed. The second thing that I noticed, which was today, which is kind of where this revelation stemmed from, about God's way being the best way. I finally finished the site. I think at this point, I just have to pay Shopify so that I can actually publish my new site, right? So as I'm working on it today, when I woke up from my nap, not only did it flow smoothly, but it was set up exactly the way that God needed it to set up with. And so I was spending some time with him. And what I was telling him was like, Lord, not only was it easier to do this, but it looked a lot better. And you want to know God's response to me? He said, it's because, come on, my way is always the best way. Now check this out. Before it was actually time, when I tried to shift prematurely, it didn't make sense why God was telling me to shift, right? I was having even difficulties understanding how to switch my domain over to Shopify, right? But in the confines of his timing, not only did it go by fast, right? But it was something that was smooth sailing, and it showed me such a distinct difference in the quality of what God had produced. And I believe that there are some of you guys that are here that maybe you're at that place where you can kind of tell that a shift is coming, or that a person's season is coming to an end in your life, or something's, because it ain't always people, or something's season is coming to an end. Like you can kind of tell that there's a shift. I will simply tell you, you will know when it's time to shift. I'm going to say it again. You will know when it is time to shift. But not only will you know when it's time to shift, but what you will notice as you shift with God in the confines of his set timing, what you're going to notice is that the issues you were once having, you don't have anymore. I'll say that again. The issues you were once having, you don't have anymore. And here's the thing. A lot of times when God starts showing us that a shift is coming, a lot of times when he shows us that, we look at our life and we feel like, why would I change this, God? Why would I cut this person off? Why would I change this, this up? Why would I change my pattern? A lot of times it doesn't make sense why God tells us to shift. A lot of times the signs don't make sense. And sometimes because the signs don't make sense, we just start ignoring what God is showing us. And even though we may be having issues within the confines of whatever it is, we would rather, listen to me, we would rather make it work in the old thing than to shift into something new. Because it's just something about new things that scares us all. I'm going to say that again. It's just something about new things that scares us all. I simply just came here to just tell y'all, listen, whatever God is telling you to do in this hour, trust him. Because when you get to the end result of doing whatever God needed you to do, you're going to have that mindset where you're like, man, God, I'm glad I shifted. I'm glad I cut this off. I'm glad I cut this person off. I pray that I'm making sense. His way is always the best way. Even when it revolves around business, and I think that's where a lot of entrepreneurs go wrong, is that they stop including God, right? They just somewhat do it in their own strength and just leave like the profits up to luck. And I feel like that's where a lot of people go wrong. They don't include God in on the how, the strategies of whatever it is that they are doing. But again, whatever God is leading you to do in this hour, however he's telling you to approach it, please understand that the results are to benefit you. The results are to benefit you. And I believe that this word was a confirming word to some of you guys, because there are some of y'all where you know that God has been leading you to do things differently. There are some of you guys where you know that God's approach to whatever it is that you're pursuing is not the approach that you would like, that you would willingly pursue. But needless to say, when you do it God's way, you set yourself up to receive his best. And that was the revelation that he gave me. Because I'm going to be real, I didn't want to shift websites. I wanted to stay with what I always had because it worked for so long. You ever felt that way about something, God telling you that change is coming to an area, and you like, but God, whatever this thing is has worked for 5 years, for 6 years, for 10 years. And so sometimes we can be a little bit resistant to God wanting to shift things up and to shake things up in our life because we get accustomed to things being a certain way. And so this was me. And I think when I pursued it prematurely, my mindset, if I can be real, my mindset was such a mindset where I'm like, God, I can just figure out how to do it. I can just figure out how to fix the website. Like, I can just figure out how to fix it. That was my mindset. God, I can just whatever I need to figure out, I can just figure it out. So I stopped working on shifting that I was not receptive. I wanted to hold on exactly to what was familiar. But when I got to a point of seeing that the grace on that certain platform with my website was no longer there, and I shifted, things flowed much smoother. And what I saw, I'm going to tell y'all something. What I saw in the end, I said, Lord, this was so much easier, right? This was the issues I had with going in, having to code different things. I didn't have to do any of that with Shopify. I'm like, literally, they can click on a site, click on the sessions, and it shows them whatever the time slot is. And it takes all their information, and you just go from there. And I'm going to be real, y'all. It made me feel like a fool. It made me feel like I should have shifted earlier. But I also understand that God's timing is always right on time. And the thing about it is, God never fixes what's not broken. Now he can spruce up what's not broken. But I say that to say, like if something is working for you, working for your good in your life, that's not going to be an area that God is going to want to change. But in this new season, I really believe that what God is doing is he's shifting up things where stagnancy has kind of settled in. But at the end of the day, it's on you to shift with the shift. It's absolutely on you to shift with the shift. And so that was the word, that was the revelation that God gave me. His way is the best. And it's not until we become receptive to his way of doing things that we get to see that God knows what he's doing. Even before I did this broadcast, me and God have this weird thing. And I'm going to say this and get off here. Me and God have this weird thing when it comes to like decorating. Well, had, because I've gotten better. Like there would be sometimes, right? This here taking me out. There would be sometimes, right, when I would go to a store, and it was this one particular time I was in Hobby Lobby, and I knew that I needed a painting for my wall. Now at the time, I had my old sofas, those leather sofas that I didn't really like. But I had those sofas. Hey, what's up, Christina Williams? I had those sofas. And so I'm in Hobby Lobby, and God is like, he picked out a picture that he wanted me to get. And my first response to God was, God, that don't match. You ever felt like, God told you to do something and you be looking at God like, why would I do that? That's not going to put me in a good position. I straight up told God, it don't match. So, I go on throughout Hobby Lobby. I'm trying to find different paintings and different things like that. Needless to say, long story short, God tells me, get the one I told you to get. Do you not know that what I didn't know is that a month later, that God will begin to restore the furniture that I had to surrender? You see, it didn't make sense at the time because I'm like, God, this painting don't match nothing that I have. But little did I know, a month, really less than a month later, I think it was like the next week, he would begin to replace or give me back the things that I had to surrender. The audacity of me to try and tell God that he don't know what he doing. And it's so crazy is that so many of y'all do the same thing, but in different ways. God tell you to go one way, and you be like, God, nah, that's the wrong way. But the reality of it is, have you ever been to the place that you expecting God to take you to? Yeah, we going there. Have you ever been to that destination before? Because the truth of the matter is that none of us have. It's kind of like, it's in every area of your life, honestly. It ain't just business. We see it pop up in all of our lives, sometimes on a daily basis, when God is telling us to do something that to us does not make sense. But again, it's not until you just surrender and honestly humble yourself to realize that he is God and he's God Almighty. He knows what he's doing. And the truth of the matter is that sometimes he knows what's best for us more than we feel. Because sometimes we be feeling like we know what's best for us, right? Sometimes we be acting like we know what we want. But the truth of the matter is that God always has our best interest at heart. And I don't know, who needed to hear this. But listen, whatever God is leading you to do in this hour, you need to do it. You need to, listen, humble yourself, surrender, and do it. Because you delaying or putting off what God is leading you to do, the areas that God is shifting your life, it doesn't hurt anybody but you. It doesn't delay anyone's breakthrough but your own. And I think a lot of times This is like one of the main reasons why many people, really never get what they're believing God for, is because people in the world don't like change. Listen, we don't like change. We don't like giving up things that we're comfortable with. But in this season, come on, you're going to have to shift with the shift if you're going to get in on God's best. And I think the key and the point of it all is to remain truly surrendered. And so that is the broadcast, y'all. That's the revelation that the Lord gave me. And I ain't going to add nothing to that thing or take away anything from it. Listen, y'all, don't be like me. Don't be like me, not wanting to let go of what was familiar. I had a hard head. Like, now, God, I'm going to make it work with the old site. And I'm going to just be real. It got to the point, because I had that old site set up to where it automatically updated my plugins, the things that make the website work. It got to the point where sometimes 3-4 times a day, they emailing me, telling me that my plugins failed to update. It got to the point sometimes where I was getting them emails every single day, right? But God waited until I got to a point where I was just fed up. And I'm going to say this, the moment I shifted, y'all, like the domain, it's like God immediately burned that bridge. Can I just flow a little bit? The moment that I physically, and honestly, it happened on a random day. If I can just be real, when I kind of tried to switch the domain, and I thought that I had made a mistake until today. Yes, it is. I thought I had made a mistake until today, right? So, the entire time I'm like, Lord, the moment I press that button, transfer website to Shopify, it's like my old website would not pull up anymore, y'all. And I think that sometimes that has to happen because God knows that it's like we'll get a little bit timid and try to run back. And so sometimes, especially in this season, what I believe is going to be happening for many of us is literally like, as you shift with God, hear me now, as you shift with God, he's going to be burning the bridge to your old. And why is that? Because the old is no longer relevant. And that's a whole word. I'm going to say that again. It's because the old is no longer relevant. And that's the word, y'all. I'm about to get over here. I love y'all. I am rooting for you guys. To those of y'all that feel led to sow, you absolutely can. Everything that comes in is going to go towards, my goal is to get this website up and running. And I know tomorrow I'm going to need to get some asthma medication. My asthma has been trying to flare up. Come on, y'all. My asthma has been trying to flare up. And so I know I need to get a refill of an asthma pump. But right now, no pharmacy is open right now. So I have to worry about that on tomorrow. But right now, the goal is, I want to say, and the crazy thing about God's timing is that today, when I logged onto Shopify, not only did they extend my trial, which I don't need the trial anymore, but they have a deal where they're giving half off for a whole year. So literally to start my Shopify store and to publish the website on Shopify, I think my goal is it's like $14.44. So I'll say around $15 to go ahead and get that published. And from there, people can actually book from the site. And even God set it up to where, some people, some stores have like Shop Pay, Afterpay, Klarna, and you pay it off in installments. So I was able to actually incorporate that into like my mentoring sessions. And so it's just something that is honestly brand new. And I'm so excited about it. And so that is where the funds that are sown are going to go towards getting that shop up and running. And so that is it, y'all. Everything for my asthma pump is probably going to run me around $40. I think it's like $28 for the doctor's visit, and the pump itself, the inhaler, is around, I'm going to say it's around $15. And so that is where the funds are going to go towards. And so literally the funds just came in for me to actually publish the website. And so I am going to do that, and everything else, like I said, is going to go towards getting that inhaler. And so that is it, y'all. As I always tell y'all, I love y'all. I am rooting for y'all. Man, shift with the shift. That's the seed title. Shift with the shift. Shift with the shift. And so that's it, y'all. I love y'all, rooting for you. And so till next time, y'all. Peace.